All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Q&A live stream number 92. It is approximately 7:12 p.m. right here on the East Coast in the great state of New Jersey. Today is let me get the date here. I don't know the day off the top of my head. Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. So there's a lot to talk about. Yes, I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news. So yeah. So first of all, some new restrictions have been introduced. Thankfully, not for New Jersey, of course. Pennsylvania did ban indoor dining, and New York City actually banned indoor dining. Which honestly, in New York City, it only really accounted for 1.43% of the COVID spread, which to me is very surprising. I'm a little disappointed that the governor made that decision. Same thing with like, I think what's ironic is the Pennsylvania governor. I think his name is Governor Tom Wolf. He got COVID. He tested positive, and then the next day he introduced restrictions. I don't know if you guys see the connection here. I'm not trying to share my political opinion, but you guys kind of see like the guy got COVID. All of a sudden he bans indoor dining. There's some kind of connection there. I'm not trying to make up um, some kind of theory, but you know, I'm sure some of you get it. Anyways, getting off topic here, but let me say hello to some of the people that have joined our live stream. Hello, Elevators of Steel City by Otis Elevator Fan 102. Hello, Joe, and hello, Scott. So how's everybody? So a couple things to go over today. Century 21 actually just deactivated their website. So I mean, so much for a store update. They said check back soon to the website for details. You know what they did today? They deactivated the website pretty much. So, I mean, you can't even get on century21.com anymore. So they said, please check back the website soon for updates. All of a sudden, they deactivated the website. Yeah, it is. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. You get COVID, and then the next day you announce an indoor dining ban. I see some kind of connection there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just grateful to have indoor dining back in my state at like 25. You know, it was never raised too. We always stayed at 25, which honestly, a lot more people do curbside pickup and eat at home. So yeah, unlike Lord and Taylor staying as an online only business. Yeah, I mean, and it sounded so promising too, you know, and then all of a sudden they just deactivated their website. It's really weird in my opinion. But personally, Century 21, according to what this person said in a group post, they were having a lot of internal struggles, but because they were a privately owned company, they were able to keep it under reps, which to me, honestly, is very interesting that they were able to do that for such a long time. And then ultimately they had to let the cat out of the bag and file for bankruptcy back in September. Only I think a two or 3 weeks after Lord and Taylor announced that all their stores were closing. But I mean, Lord and Taylor was on shaky ground too. Unfortunately, they were like this was before the pandemic hit. You know, back in February, they were letting go of people in their stores left and right. I know Scott, one of the people in this live stream right now, he was actually let go. I believe. I think Scott, was it before the pandemic you were let go or after the pandemic? Because I know a lot of people were let go at Lord and Taylor before the pandemic, and they said that all stores were going to close maybe June, but obviously that was delayed due to the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders. And then ultimately, Lord and Taylor also let the cat out of the bag and said, "Yeah, we have no choice but to close all of our stores because they're just not profitable." Hmm. I don't think so. Not yet. Not quite yet. I believe Lord and Taylor is closing December 28th, I believe. Somewhere between the 28th and the 31st. Again, it could subject to change due to restrictions mandated by local and state governments. So it all depends on what happens between now and the end of December, unfortunately. Oh yeah, no. I mean that is literally a no-brainer. And I read on the Sears layoffs board that Seritage CEO went. So yeah, no, it is not looking good for Sears or Kmart. I mean, even before the pandemic. I mean, I just remember making thousands and I mean not thousands rather, but a lot of videos, talking about different store locations that were closing. Yeah, no, they were in trouble before the pandemic. The pandemic pretty much accelerated that process. Well, even more. They were already going down the tubes before the pandemic hit. It's the pandemic accelerated that process even more. But it's interesting. They're now actually selling fixtures at non-closing Sears and Kmart stores. Do you believe that? They're selling store fixtures at stores that are not even liquidating. That is when you know that things are bad at Sears. Empty spaces, no salespeople selling fixtures before the liquidators come into the stores. Yeah, no. Sears and Kmart, unfortunately, it's a sad, sad, sad situation. Unfortunately, I mean, look where I live. We only have maybe three Kmart's near. Well, yeah, three really. I got one up in Westwood. There's two in Belleville and Kearney, but there's a Walmart, so I'm sure they're gonna close. But it's a sad, sad situation, and I do think that next year, like I believe, and I know I've said this many times before, this I believe is the final Christmas for Sears. There is no way in heck that they are going to come back after this whole pandemic is over. I think that this is the official final Christmas, and you guys can hold me to that because I predict that now. Sears will have this Christmas and New Year's, and then they will be done. That will be the end of Sears and Kmart at that point. I mean, Lord and Taylor and Century are gone. I mean, Century closed 2 weeks ago, and or I'm sorry, a week ago. Was it a week ago? Oh no, it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they kicked the bucket. Or no, no, it was a week ago. Okay, I'm just getting my I'm just getting my dates wrong here. Okay. Anyways, during. Ugh. Hmm. Pfizer's vaccine is now finally, and I mean finally, starting to be administered in the U.S. Yeah, I heard the Moderna one is also awaiting FDA approval too. So very exciting. I plan on getting the vaccine. I believe March or April. Obviously, it has to go to frontline workers, which I totally respect. They deserve the vaccine more than me and you guys. So, but I plan on getting the vaccine between March, April, at the very latest May. But because there's going to be so many choices, probably somewhere, I would say end of March, early April, I will most likely get the vaccine. Hi, Carlos Elevators too. How are you? Hi, Garden State Elevators. How are you? Yeah, pretty much. That's a good way to sum it up. Yeah, no, this if you look at it this way, Joe, they were already going down. Like Sears was literally going down. Like if it was a fire, the pandemic just added more fire onto the fire that was already burning. That's one way to look at it. Very very good point about Sears and Kmart. Yeah, Eddie Lampert. 61 Sears stores nationwide. Wow, that's a lot more than Lord and Taylor and Century 21 combined, actually. Yeah, that is a lot more than Century 21 and Lord and Taylor. Uh, Sears, there's only one in New York. No, there's a couple. There is Valley Stream, Sunrise, Brooklyn, and Newburgh because White Plains is going out, sadly. But I'm sure they're selling fixtures there too. Kittenberg, Pennsylvania. I'm sure that's going to close too. Thoughts on Governor Phil Murphy? Ooh, this is a good one. I mean, he's okay, but you know, I mean, I'm kind of upset that he is kind of to blame for the closure of Nordstrom at Freehold, but I knew what he had to do. But I think really we should have had malls opened up by May. I think June we killed a lot of anchor stores. But it's a shame. He's it's unfortunate. Excuse me, guys, for just 1 second. Anyways, my apologies, guys. Hey, Mohammed Sonic Boom, how are you? No, Eddie Lampert wanted to milk on the real estate. That's what he was more interested in. He didn't care about the employees and the store leaders. He didn't care about that at all. He just wanted to milk on the real estate for as long as he could. And you know what? He won. And at the end of the day, he won, and the workers in the buildings got screwed. He won because he milked on the real estate for as long as he could. And guess what? When the pandemic hits, Eddie Lampert is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. It's amazing. It's amazing how those stores are still operating. It's amazing that the Sears at the Newport Center in Jersey City is still operating and is not liquidating. To me, that's amazing. It's amazing of how the Sears at Sunrise Mall, which is the second most declining mall, and it's terrible. It's just terrible. I had science class. I was in a breakout room. Oh, probably that's probably one of those Zoom things where you break out with a girl and six boys looking at me and not talking to me. Oh, that's a shame. I know how that feels. Basically, Eddie Lampert wanted to expand his mansion. Not expand his mansion. He pretty much just wanted to collect profits until the buildings were no longer profitable to him. That's pretty much what it was. And then he wanted to make them profitable again when he introduced Seritage Growth Properties to all these big Sears stores, retrofitting them with tenants such as AMC, Dave and Buster's, Round One, Nordstrom's Rack. So that's pretty much what the strategy ultimately was to take these old existing Sears buildings and transform them so that he can get more money. That was the whole point of Transform Co. It was never to transform Sears or Kmart. It was pretty much to milk on the real estate as long as he could, and then to ultimately transform the buildings from dying and decaying department stores into lively spaces of entertainment and shopping in a much more factor that appeals to younger demographics. That's pretty much what the whole plan was. And guess what? The plan has worked. And not only that, but the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated that plan. So he won ultimately. He won with screwing the Sears workers, and he won with Seritage Growth Properties because he was able to create spaces where families can go and entertain themselves in former Sears and Roebuck and Kmart stores, pretty much. But I think yeah, too, it was pretty much part of his yacht and all that other crazy stuff. So, hi, Michael Feldman, how are you? But, anyways, so you're absolutely right. But he's so protected and he has so much money. I don't think he'll ever see what poverty is like. Hi, Scorch, how are you? Interesting. My local Sears had an Otis manually controlled crank freight, but it also had a Schindler RT. And another one had an Otis, but it was luckily replaced with a Stu Leonard's, which we lost an Otis and we got an Otis back. No, I didn't know that. Installed in 1986. That sounds about right. I'm sure it's probably one of those Westinghouses that they put in Macy's back in the day. Yesterday was a creepy ass day for me. Interesting. Um, really? Yeah. I don't know. I've never been a fan of the Blue Laws, but if they look, I think personally, if Bergen County was really strict about the Blue Laws, they would pass a law and block people from shopping on Amazon or any online site on a Sunday. Like if they were that serious about Blue Laws, but we know that loophole will never be closed because that's an economic engine if they have shoppers shopping online on a Sunday. I just see that as a double standard right there, actually. Yep, it still is a Primark. Yep, that was a Stearns at one point. Yeah, there's a Primark, JCPenney, Macy's, and a liquidating Lord and Taylor, which is going to be done by. Yeah, apparently they extended it. From what I heard, I saw on a news site today that they actually, yeah, no, all Lord and Taylors were supposed to close by December 1st, but apparently, due to favorable, hold on, I'm gonna get it right here on their thing. Yeah, so apparently, due to favorable inventory levels throughout the holiday season, meaning, I mean, when I went, I could see why that they were still liquidating. They had a lot of inventory still in their stores. So I mean, that's what they're doing. But I don't plan on going to any more Lord and Taylors. I've been to every single one in New Jersey. I already have a store tour up to Scarsdale, and I had escalators. Already did Stanford, so there's really not any others. I'm gonna get a Bala Kinwood one up, and that's pretty much it for the Lord and Taylor fleet, at least around here for me. But yeah, I've been to every single Lord and Taylor in the state of New Jersey, which is a pretty good accomplishment considering I started out in July when I went to the Nordstrom at Freehold, and I got 2 for 1, which I did Nordstrom and Lord and Taylor. So, but I'll tell you guys in the order that I did it. So first was Freehold, then then I went out to Long Island and did Walt Whitman, Westfield South Shore, Manhasset. I didn't do Garden City because I was already there. I did, what was the other one that I did? Oh, and then after that, okay, before those, I went to Fashion Center. Next up, I did Bridgewater. Then I did Rockaway Town Square. Then I did Quaker Bridge and downtown Westfield. And then I also did Westfield Garden State Plaza and Willowbrook. Not the orders, but yeah, I did all of them at least. They used to have one in Pittsburgh many years ago, and they also had one in Harrisburg too. But the Harrisburg one became Bass Pro Shops. Pittsburgh, I think, closed a couple of years ago. And then they had one in Philadelphia, I think, in the old John Wanamaker store. And they and Bala Cynwyd, obviously, that's like the fashion center. And then King of Prussia is like one of the 1990s May Company stores. Maybe, maybe, but if Primark were to go there, um, I think it would go in where Century was going to be. But hopefully, I think so. By 2021, we'll be back to normal because the entire because by towards the middle and the end of 2021, the majority of the world will be vaccinated. So I would imagine by then we'll be back to normal. Considering we have 2 contenders. I mean, one that was fully approved by the FDA and one that's going to get approved by the FDA. So I would say that we are going to get a vaccine pretty quickly. Some guy goes over in the roped areas of the store, gets a PS4, sneaks it into his cart, and uses the Garfield Walmart self checkout. Wow, and nobody said anything? Wow. Yeah, no, and you know, Walmart doesn't have to close on a Sunday because they sell groceries, which is essential. So that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Yeah, well, healthcare workers and nursing home people absolutely deserve first priority in the vaccine. I'm not going to say that they don't. Yeah, Garfield is such a sketchy area. That's the problem. But I do agree. They definitely need extra security, especially on a Sunday. Both. Those are actually my two local Walmarts, believe it or not. Teterboro's the supercenter flagship for the entire county, and Garfield's the much smaller one. Oh, that's good. Well, Roosevelt Field is the largest mall on Long Island, and it's near Christmas, so I'm not surprised. But I mean, what I heard today was oh yeah, they're talking about another shutdown in New York City. Terrible after Christmas. Terrible. Like like you wanted like just put yeah, great. Let's just put more people out of business there right after Christmas. Tell them sorry, due to the increase of COVID cases, we have to shut you down again. So great, you're going to put more people out of unemployment after Christmas. That's a really nice Christmas present to give to all these people who have already been through enough this year. That's just great. Terrible. Have you heard of Towson Town Center in Towson, Maryland? Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah, the oranges are definitely sketchy. Well, that's like the outskirts of Newark, pretty much. Yeah, that is a sketchy area of Jersey. Have you been to the North Bergen Supercenter Walmart? Um, no, but I believe that is the flagship Walmart for Hudson County, I believe. Yeah, there's a good way to compare and contrast it. So, for an example, the North Bergen Walmart is like the Teterboro Walmart, and the Walmart in Secaucus in Harmon Meadow is like Garfield. They're just two different store concepts. Saddlebrook is a very old one. That has been there for 2003, and that mall itself that Walmart is in is so sketchy. I could even see Walmart like closing that mall. I mean, closing that store down the road if they really wanted to. The problem is it's very close to Garfield, and the Garfield Walmart is so much better than the one in Saddlebrook. Yeah, it's a one level shopping mall, but it's not as sketchy and it's a little bit safer than that Saddlebrook one. Saddlebrook is right off a highway. The Garfield Walmart, at least, it's safe and there's restaurants and stuff. It's lively. You got an Applebee's, you got a McDonald's, you got a Marshalls, you got a Burlington, you have a PetSmart, Supercuts, a Five Below, an AutoZone. So you have a decent amount of stores in that mall that's owned, I believe, by Urban Edge Properties. Owls at Bergen Town Center, fine, more than okay. Yes, it's a huge loss, and the mall's going to have to somehow redevelop it. And I'll actually show you guys what my suggestion is for developing that former Century 21. Yeah, apparently Urban Edge's flagship property is the Owlets at Bergen Town Center, which I'm not surprised personally. I'm not surprised that that's their flagship property. Let's go to documents. Let's go to the. Huh. Wow, they finally put one of those big space things. I really wonder though what they're gonna do because that's a lot of space they have to work with. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of a better thing. I'm working on that for you guys. Let's see. Leasing brochure. No, I don't want to see the brochure. No. Yeah, sounds like the National Wholesale Liquidators is expected to become this. Yeah, I want a clear map. That's what I'm looking for. Clear map. Clear map. Let's get you that clear map so I could tell you guys exactly what I'm talking about. If I can't find a clear map, I can't find a clear map. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Flyers where I is what I need. Um, I don't know. That was killing them all. Hopefully. Because they have 3 stores already. Morris County close. I think Michael would know that because the what's it called? The Kmart in West Orange was the next closest thing to that, but that's not in Morris County. Any updates on the list of Kmart closures? Big Bear, California, and 2 in Puerto Rico. That's what I've heard so far. Yeah, they still open stores. Okay, so the person that was asking about Century 21 Scorched, okay. Yeah, this is the best I could do for the map. I wish it was clear, but I don't see it as being any clearer than this. This is under property listing. No, property listing would not work. Um, community profile. Yeah, no, I don't want to see a community profile. Okay. So this, I think, is about the closest thing we're going to get to a property thing. So let's go ahead and share the screen right here. Hi, Alex P. How are you? Yes, it is. Um, it's online. Just look up articles. I want to share my screen real quick. Okay, this is the property flyer. So the Century 21 vacancy is oh wait, no. I'm sharing the wrong screen. As a matter of fact, let me make this bigger first. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is the screen that I want to share. All right, let's go to Chrome tab and let's go ahead and share that. There we go. Okay, so this is the current spot for Century 21 at the mall. Obviously, this was where the expansion was done for the escalators and the elevator to lead up to the Burlington, which was the former chapel on the mall, and they got a very little entrance. And the Burlington elevator shares the same ThyssenKrupp shaft with the Marshalls elevator. So this is a lot of space to work with. I think the mall could go a lot of ways about this. They could do a mall wing expansion, which I think could be something very interesting given the space that they have to work with. I think it could start out in the Century 21 spot, and then you could have stores here on the right and on the left. They would have to completely reconfigure the entire space and make it like a almost like what's it called? Almost like a way for the like you could have a bunch of outlets here on the left and a bunch of outlets here on the right, and then they'd have to come up with a new corridor system. So I think that could be something down the road that they could try and do. And then they could like create like a second floor kind of thing too with the same story. And then create like a grand mall entrance right where Century 21 was. That way there's a connection between the street side and the mall. And I think it is a missing link too, because there has never really been a connection between between the street and of course the mall. But I think this would create an absolutely wonderful link between those two things. And I also think if they could do a second floor portion of the mall, they could build it here and build it there, and they could extend it to the left to connect with the existing bridge that already is by Marshalls. And then they could actually, if they really wanted to make it something ultimate, take those second floor plans and expand it all the way to the Target store. That could be something really ambitious and really interesting, and they could fit a lot more stores. Although the question does come down to, does the mall need more stores given the times that we lived in that we're living in right now? But down the road, they could very well do some kind of major outlet expansion to make this a big outlet center to compete with, say, something like the Woodbury Commons Premium Outlets or the Mills of Jersey Gardens, which are two malls that are owned by the Simon Property Group. So there's a lot of possibilities for that former Century 21 spot, Scorch. So I think that's what's going to happen with the Century 21 in Paramus. Montgomery A series, definitely more than a Minnesota. Well, you know what? In times like this of the pandemic, I'm personally glad that Stop and Shop is stepping in to save the shops at Nanuet. Personally, I'm happy about that. I'm happy that they're expressing that they hate the blue laws. That's how I feel. I'm glad to see that other people from outside of Bergen County recognize it being just an awful law. Can you talk about the three malls on the three Simon malls on Long Island and on Island about how they are? Sure, I've actually never done that before, but yeah, I'll talk about them. So yes, so the Simon Property Group owns three key mall properties on Long Island. They actually own the majority of them on Long Island, with Westfield unfortunately owning the two not so great malls. Well, not really one with their name, because Sunrise is now just called Sunrise Mall NY. But yes, Simon Malls, they own three important malls on Long Island. And actually, they own three major property malls, major property economic engines that on Long Island. Yeah, no, although they might get crushed with American Dream, but right now, no. There is still a purpose for that. So these are all the Simon malls on Long Island. Just ignore the mall to source because that is not a Simon mall, and Cross County is a Make Eric property. So if you compare the three have three totally different experiences. They are three totally different types of shopping malls. So Roosevelt Field is probably the most notable one on Long Island. Out of the three, leave it or take it. That is the one mall on Long Island. That is the number one shopping mall on Long Island, and that Mecca Mall competes directly with Westfield Garden State Plaza and King of Prussia and the Mall at Short Hills. So, what makes Roosevelt Field unique? Personally, the options, the fact that it is an economic engine for the middle of the island, and it's really the Garden City's biggest taxpayer. It is a big, mega two-level mall. It has some key and important tenants. It has a Macy's. It has a Nordstrom, which is and the only Nordstrom on Long Island. Neiman Marcus, the only one on Long Island. Not Bloomingdale's, because Bloomingdale's does have a second store. The only JCPenney in Nassau County, as the JCPenney's at Westfield Sunrise and the JCPenney at Green Acres have all closed, and also Dick's Sporting Goods. So this is a very important mall for Long Island, and I would personally hate to see it go. It is an important economic engine for Long Island. It's one of the most critical malls, and to see this mall die, that would be very devastating. But Roosevelt Field has a lot of great anchor stores. It has a small AMC, several different restaurants around the area, including the recently built Maggiano's Little Italy that opened up 4 years ago, I believe. So this is a big mega mall shopping center. It has a lot of important anchors, and hopefully it will continue to succeed. I know the pandemic has hit a lot of malls, but hopefully we won't see any more closures at Roosevelt Field for now. Although we did get the unfortunate announcement about Century 21, which to me that is just very devastating about that. So the mall at Source used to be a Simon Mall, but that is something else now, and I'm not even going to spend my time going over it. So yeah. So the next major mall in Long Island, just a few miles east of the Roosevelt Field Mall, is the Walt Whitman Shops. So the Walt Whitman Shops is pretty much Suffolk County's version of Americana Manhasset, which Americana Manhasset is another upscale area. So the Walt Whitman Shops is another important mall for Long Island. It is a very upscale mall, not as upscale as Short Hills and Americana Manhasset, but it is still pretty upscale. It's probably on par with the shops at Riverside, except it's a little bit smaller. Except it's a little bit smaller than the shops at Riverside. The reason why I call the Walt Whitman Shops an important mall is because it has one of the most successful Macy's stores on Long Island. It has a Saks Fifth Avenue, and the only Saks Fifth Avenue on Long Island, and a second Bloomingdale's. Now, for a very short period of time, both the Macy's and Bloomingdale's were both operating as Macy's at one point, although that was when the transition was happening, because Macy's used to be where Bloomingdale's was, and Macy's used to be in A&S, but Macy's relocated from this store to the A&S store, and that's how Long Island got its second Bloomingdale's, because this was a former Macy's store, which became a Bloomingdale's, which ultimately led the mall becoming one of the most upscale malls on Long Island, being at number 2, with Americana Manhasset being at number 1. Walt Whitman Shops is a very important mall Walt Whitman Shops is a very important mall for Suffolk County because it is another economic engine, and it delivers a lot. And I think it's the largest taxpayer in the town and hamlet of Huntington Station, New York. I mean, I would go over Lord & Taylor, but at this point, Lord & Taylor is liquidating, so I'm not even going to waste my time discussing that. So the other mall on Long Island, which is probably the Simon Mall on Long Island that has suffered the most losses, although Walt Whitman will be losing its Lord & Taylor, but it still has its Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and Saks, Smith Haven Mall. This is an interesting mall. I was going to visit this mall right before the pandemic hit. Unfortunately, the infection rate was so bad that it just wasn't even worth it to take the train. This mall, unfortunately, only has a Macy's, as it lost its JCPenney last year in summer of 2019, and the Sears closed on April 11th, right at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an okay mall. It's really nothing special. I mean, okay, yes, it has a Macy's. Yes, it has the Cheesecake Factory and P.F. Chang's and Barnes & Noble and Dick's Sporting Goods, but it's really nothing special. It's an okay mall. It's definitely a step up from South Shore, and it's a step up from Sunrise, but it's an okay mall. So I'm not really going to waste more time on that, and that's my opinion on Smith Haven Mall. So out of the 3 malls, what is the most number 1 and prominent mall on Long Island? Roosevelt Field is the most prominent, because Roosevelt Field combines both Smith Haven and Walt Whitman and makes a mix between an upscale mall and a low-scale mall. Walt Shops is more of an upscale mall that tends to an upper scale customer. Same thing with Americanum and Hassett. And Smith Haven Mall is a much lower scale mall, but it is a step up from Westfield, South Shore, and Sunrise Mall, New York, and also Broadway Commons, which is, by the way, that is just a dying mall structure at this point. And Green Acres, I'm not even going to waste my time on. The only Nordstrom in Westchester County, the I'm sorry, the Westchester. That's the only Nordstrom in Westchester County. The only Bloomingdale's in Nassau is Roosevelt Field. What would I do? I'd let them take it, honestly. If no one's looking, just go. You know, because I think the blue walls are ridiculous in my opinion. Thank you, appreciate that. I've been there twice. It's an all right Westfield Mall. I prefer Westfield Garden State Plaza because I've been spoiled by that mall, by Westfield Mall my whole life. Yeah, that sounds about right. Depends on when that was installed. That could have been before they merged with Hudson Bay. Well, yeah, it's a real thing. It is a real thing, unfortunately. What style of Levi's do you wear? I typically wear like the dark jeans. I like light washes, but I also like dark washes too. 2016. Hmm. That may have been a property owner thing then. Yeah. What was bizarre to me is I walked into Zara at American Dream and it had an Otis Hydrofit, the same one that I think that I used to have at my university when I was going there last year. They must have been the cheapest bidder, or because it was their flagship, that's what they wanted to put in. That was weird because I would never see a Zara store install an Otis Hydrofit. I guess because they poured so much money, they wanted to put a nice elevator in there. I mean, it ran pretty well, but you know, I don't know. Westfield Long Island Galleria, I guess it probably would have beat the crap out of Roosevelt Field, but the mall was the mall was not going to work. I mean, you had Roosevelt Field 2 miles down. How could you? If Roosevelt Field was a much smaller development, then yes, I could say that Westfield would have control of the largest mall in Long Island and the largest mall in New Jersey. But unfortunately, that's not how things worked out. So yes, I heard about that. I read the article on that, the Krispy Kreme. It's very exciting. And honestly, good replacement. That McDonald's closing, absolute market correction thing. They had one in River Edge, and honestly, I think Krispy Kreme is a solid replacement for that. You'll be seeing lines right on Route 17 after you pass the Chuck E. Cheese and the Macy's Furniture Gallery. But smart move by Krispy Kreme, especially to be right in the heart of Paramus, the smartest, and I mean the absolute smartest move they could ever do. I don't know, but they're gonna have to handle lines in some way because it's not gonna be like the one in East Rutherford where they can have lines out in the parking lot. That is a small location, but wow, they got very lucky with that. Will you ever visit Oxford Valley Mall? Probably not. I'm not like in a rush to go to a mall right now. I want to wait till the next major closing. Yeah, there's Sears and White Plains, but it's 45 minutes and it's far from here, especially for a generic Sears, which I can see right in Jersey City. Whenever they pull the plug on that one, I'd rather just wait till then. But right now, no, I have no plans to go to any malls right now. I have some backup. I'm getting some content ready for if in the event that we do go under a second lockdown so that at least I have content ready to go. And then when I'm confident enough, then things will go back to the way they were, at least with content. But for now, this is the way that things have to be, unfortunately. $70? Wow, yeah, that is a rip. Yeah, no, that Kone sucks. That Kone is worse than that Kone is much worse than what the former Kone at Century 21 at Bergen Town Center was. Yeah, I mean they abused that thing like a freight elevator. So thanks, you too. Thanks for joining, Michael. Which Kone is worse, the main mall or Forever 21? You know what? I'm gonna have to give it to Forever 21 because the main mall elevators they don't abuse like a service elevator. Sadly, Forever 21 they abuse it, and that's where it goes to crap. But I'm not surprised. That thing is a piece of junk. In that Forever 21. Let's see what else we got here. No, no. There's a couple J.C. Penney stores that are announcing some closings, but I mean like unprofitable locations that Simon doesn't care about. But there are J.C. Penney's that are like they're trickling a little bit. There's not like an official list, but although I can expect to see some Macy's stores announce a closure probably by next year, and I do have a list of likely stores that are going to close, most likely. Yes, I heard about that. I'm not surprised though. Wow, I didn't know that. What is the future for American Dream? That mall will be fine. Because here's the thing. Once the entire world, the world gets vaccinated, you know they're going to want to do entertainment. So it's shaky ground right now for the mall, but trust me, once the vaccine is administered and there's herd immunity to this virus, yeah, American Dream will be absolutely booming. So I wouldn't even worry about American Dream personally. It's on shaky ground right now, but we just got to get the entire world vaccinated from this virus. Depends on how it does. Oh, it will. It will. But I think Macy's could close a couple of stores. Livingston, because of how close it is to Short Hills. Brunswick Square, I think, will go. What's the other one that they could close in Jersey? They could close Paramus Park, but I still think that there's somewhat of a market there. But they could close it too. You never know. Um, what's another one they could close? I don't even know. Hamilton Mall, they might pull the plug on that one finally. Um, yeah, I don't even know what other one they could close. Interesting. Hmm. Hey, old Eric, how are you? I would imagine. I mean, Target's an essential. Apparently, it's an essential retailer, which I don't even know how. Walmart, I get. I don't know how Target's an essential retailer. Do you want the PS5? No, I don't want the PS5. That is overpriced. Oh, sweet. But actually, let's switch gears here. So there's this crazy snowstorm that they're talking about. They're saying we're going to get a lot of snow. I might actually post the video. I don't know if you guys want to see that, but I mean, I would love to record the first snow this year. I heard we're getting a lot of snow. Although sadly, no snow days this year because of remote learning. So, but next year snow days will absolutely be back, which is a good thing. Actually, my fall semester last year, I had one snow day, believe it or not. They canceled all classes and they had a weird dining schedule, but I was no classes that day. It was pretty good. It was nice to have one day off, but not this semester, although my semester is pretty much almost done at this point. So, nice. Yeah. It is strange, but what are you gonna do? I mean, I think for once, with all the nonsense going on, we need something nice, and I think that this snowstorm is a nice gift. I think it's a really nice gift. I mean, look, this year has been tough. I'm not gonna be the first to say that, and I'm sure I'm not gonna be the last. But I think this snowstorm is a great gift, and I think it's a great opportunity, to get some great pictures, to, have somewhat of a white Christmas, although it would be nice if it, snowed on Christmas Eve, but I guess not this year. But who knows? That could change. We still have a week till Christmas. I know it doesn't feel like it, but that's just how I feel. So, yeah, yeah, it does. And we lost two iconic retailers, but the problem was they were struggling internally before the pandemic. The pandemic was the final nail in the coffin for them. I mean, Lord and Taylor, they were already firing people. That was like the beginning of the end. So, and then Century, they had all problems inside, but they kept it, under wraps because they were a privately owned company. And then the pandemic also killed them too. But Lord and Taylor, from what I hear, it's December 28th. That is subject to change depending on government restrictions on retail. Does CBL have a footprint in New Jersey? No. The only closest thing to that is Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, which owns the Cherry Hill Mall, which is the number one mall in South Jersey, which I'm not going to anytime soon. I will probably go post pandemic, most likely. Hi, Chris. Guess where I went this weekend? Where'd you go? Did you go to another Lord and Taylor store? Oh, nice. Cherry Hill Mall. Yeah, I've been meaning to get down there. It's a long drive, though. It's like an hour and a half. I've seen the food court. I have yet to step foot inside that Neiman Marcus, which I would like to since I know that they're also kind of on shaky ground. Even though they're out of bankruptcy, they're still on shaky ground, just like J.C. Penney. But I do plan on hopefully seeing it next year. So I'm just trying to get together a bunch of places, and it's going to really depend on what closes. Honestly, any tolls involved? Yeah, it's like all the way down the turnpike. It's far, but I would do it. Maybe next year. I want to do that. I definitely want to do Roosevelt Field next year, Monmouth Mall, Ocean County. I definitely want to do the rest of Walt Whitman and possibly Smith Haven. We'll see. Oh, well, that's a shame. Ah, I see. Yeah, I would want to spend the day at Cherry Hill. I've been meaning to visit that mall for a long time, but I'm not going anytime soon. But once the pandemic passes, I'll think about taking a trip down there. It's very easy too. but it's like 4 different trains to get down there. Mm. The mall at Tuttle Crossing or Smith Haven? Oof. Well, considering they still have a J.C. Penney and a Macy's, I guess that one. But Smith Haven, I think there's a couple more stores. Hi, Fantech0104. How are you? Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it to Sears and White Plains. It's quite far and it's generic. So I would go to like if they didn't have all these store closures and that was the only store closing this year, I probably would have went, but it's far. It's like it's not close. That's the thing, unfortunately, and it's not really accessible to via rail. Yeah, but I got plenty of other videos that I'm going to be posting. That's a good question. So here's the thing. Yes, it was owned by Simon at one point. So Smith Haven Mall and Hamilton Mall are both very different mall structures. Yes, the three of them had a Macy's and a J.C. Penney and a Sears. The thing is, between the two, Smith Haven is in an area where there's enough people that still go to the mall, and there's a lot of high demand stores that are there that people like going to. Hamilton Mall, unfortunately, is not near a metropolitan area. I mean, yeah, okay, it's near Atlantic City, but Atlantic City is not like a place where you do business. That's more of the East Coast Las Vegas. I mean, not really, but the point is it's not a great it's that mall's in a much tougher spot than say Smith Haven. Okay, yes, Hamilton Mall has a Forever 21. Yes, it has an H&M. But think about it. The college kids aren't even down at Stockton University, and that's where most of their customers are coming from. It's unfortunately it's not about the casino. Anybody going to Atlantic City is not going to go to Mays Landing, New Jersey to go see the Hamilton Mall. So Hamilton Mall is in some deep crap, much more deep crap than Smith Haven. Smith Haven by default still has a decent amount of stores, say compared to Hamilton Mall. It has a Cheesecake Factory, it has a California Pizza Kitchen, it has a Barnes and Noble, it has a Dick's Sporting Goods. So that mall has a lot more attractions versus, um, say Smith Haven. Yeah, definitely Hamilton Mall over Smith Haven, and even then, it's not even lively. I mean, Sears is gone at the mall, J.C. Penney is gone, and Macy's could look into closing the store next year if they decided to underperforming store. The problem is too, it's technically in the middle of nowhere. I mean, aside from the fact that yes, it is close to Atlantic City, um, and it's Mays Landing is kind of a nowhere town, and it's over retail down there. It's over retailed. There's so many different stores down there. There's a Walmart, there's a BJ's, there's a Target. I mean, I could go on and on and on. That's why Hamilton Mall is in trouble. Yep, Mays Landing, New Jersey. Yeah, more lifestyle activities compared to Hamilton Mall. It might. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it could. Not even close. Not even close at all. The Maltosaurus was a failed outlet concept mall, which pretty much the sad excuse, the replacement for that was the gallery at Westbury Plaza. The Mills at Jersey Gardens is very much like Woodbridge Center. No, they just exited bankruptcy. Um, I guess by default because it does have an entertainment thing, but Smith Haven's about to get a round one, which could possibly going in the former J.C. Penney. It could, and but it's those in H&M, it's those in Forever 21. Although H&M and Forever 21 could look and close those locations, but who knows? No, they exited bankruptcy. Neiman Marcus. It's not even lifestyle. It's Dick's Sporting Goods that's attractive and restaurants. So it's a lifestyle center. There's a sporting goods store, there's a bookstore, restaurants, better, more upscale retailers than say something like Hamilton Mall, where it's a a decor that has not been updated since 2003. A food court with no really named restaurants. Even Ocean County Mall, I think does even better than say something like Hamilton Mall. Yes, J.C. Penney is out of bankruptcy. They were bought by Brookfield Property Group and Simon Property Group. So yeah, they're out of bankruptcy, but they are closing some stores. Like they're closing stores that are not connected to malls. No, it was not converted. They moved the stores over. They built a new mall structure that contained those outlet stores. The Multisource structure still exists. It's the Gallery Westbury Plaza was the new outlet mall, kind of like what the outlet at Bergentown Center is. Although the difference between the two properties is that one is outside while one is inside. It's almost like comparing Roosevelt Field and Westfield Garden State Plaza. So Westfield Garden State Plaza is like Roosevelt Field. The Gallery Westbury Plaza is like the Bergen Town Center. So the properties are very comparable, and the amount of stores. Both malls have a Bloomingdale's outlet store. Both malls have a Nordstrom's rack. Both malls have a Saks Fifth Avenue, and both malls have a Home Goods. You look at the stores that the malls have, and you can really compare them and say, okay, this is the New York version of the Owlets at Bergen Town Center, Roosevelt Field. This is the New York State version of Westfield Garden State Plaza. So you can see and you can compare it. I could compare Americana Manhasset with the mall at Short Hills. Americana Manhasset has stores on the outside, while the mall at the Short Hills has stores on the inside. Both areas have a Macy's. Both areas have a Brooks Brothers. You know, Walt Whitman, I could also kind of compare to Short Hills, except for the fact that it doesn't have a Lord and Taylor. But the mall at Short Hills had a Saks, although that did close. They had a Bloomingdale's, but that's about it, really. I don't know. You know, I don't know. What I would now the Tallman and Simon merger is happening. What I would love to see Simon do with the mall at Short Hills is do pretty much what I want to say to Simon: do exactly what you did to the shops at Riverside, and we'll be good. That's what I want them to do. Do exactly what you did to the shops at Riverside, and yeah, and make it better. Make it better. Make it even more blow my mind. That's what they need to do with the mall at Short Hills is make it like the shops at Riverside. To attract more customers, probably. Excuse me. Saks Fifth Avenue never entered bankruptcy because they're part of Hudson Bay. Although Hudson Bay is really suffering some losses right now thanks to their restrictions on non-essential retail. I think that is the first time ever in my life where we went through restrictions that we couldn't shop in non-essential retail. I hear you on that one, but I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Oh, had a Bloomingdale's. Yes, they still have a Bloomingdale's. My apologies if I'm mistaked. that yes, they still have a Bloomingdale's. It's one of four in New Jersey, which the four of them are the Shops at Riverside, Willowbrook Mall, the Mall at Short Hills, and Bridgewater Commons, with Nordstrom's having 5 stores, Westfield Garden State Plaza, the Mall at Short Hills, Menlo Park, and Cherry Hill Mall. Sorry, meant four. I always keep forgetting that Freehold closed. Yes, that was the worst closure there. It is going to be somewhere between December 28th and December 30th. Although, depending on government restrictions on non-essential retail, it could be much earlier than we would have expected. But we don't have an official firm date like we did for Century 21. Unfortunately, the Century 21 website was actually taken down. So much for them saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna check back soon for details." No, it's more like we're gonna leave that message up for a week, and then we're just gonna completely deactivate our website. So yeah, they probably just made the decision. They were like, "Yep, we're gonna completely dismantle the company. We're not coming back. The pandemic killed us." It's a shame though, but like Lord and Taylor, they were having internal struggles. After I guess underperforming for the shopping holiday season, which is never a good thing. So, guys, next year we're going to be seeing a lot more cracks in retailers next year. If you're the retailers are now that are underperforming, get ready to see some more closing announcements next year. Now, I know I don't want to panic anybody, but it is not going to be the unfortunate truth. We're going to see a lot more cracks than we did this year, just because given the two situations. Number one, you have people shopping online more than ever, and you also have the ongoing pandemic. So, two major factors that are going to contribute to some more cracks and some more possible bankruptcy filings down the road. Interesting. That must have been an underperforming store. Apparently, Nordstrom's Freehold was an underperforming store for them, which is a shame. Probably. Wow. Another restaurant closing in San Francisco. Yeah, that's what happens with restrictions. People can blame everybody else, but it's the restrictions, that are mandated by state governments that hurt businesses. Oh, I'm sure. We'll see what happens with the closures. Five Below is still a freehold Raceway Mall. I'm not surprised. They do well. So Lord and Taylor will never be an online retailer after all. No, it will be. Century 21 won't be. But Lord and Taylor, yes, that will be an online retailer. But Century 21 deactivated their website. Lord and Taylor will be an online retailer because they're owned by the Saida Group LLC. I don't know, it's some internet group, whatever. But they're still going to be around. But Century, yeah, they're gone. They're dismantling the company, and it's done. They're all done. They will never come back, unfortunately. It sounds like that was just a gimmick to keep it up for a week because people know that people forget. But yeah, no, it's over for Century 21. I don't think so, and I think we don't have a cost plus world market anywhere. I think Bed Bath and Beyond just sold them off. I heard. No, I don't think so. If that's the most profitable mall outside of Pittsburgh, I don't think so. No, Toys R Us has a small store at Westfield Garden State, although I guess because of the pandemic, they halted expansion plans, which is smart actually. But Lord and Taylor would be online only, yes. Century probably not, though that could change. But no, it looks like today they deactivated their website and they just said, you know what, it's just time to move on. And I agree. I think it is time to move on from Century 21. They did their liquidation sales. We got to talk about it, and it is time to move on from Century 21. We got to look forward. We got to look to the future, and we'll discuss Lord and Taylor for a little bit longer, and then we look forward to the next major closure announcement. So just about, but Bonton had much more locations than Century 21. Century 21 had 13 to 15 stores. They did cut back a couple of stores a couple of years ago, but yeah, I mean, same position, but much bigger store fleet. Yeah, Westfield Garden State Plaza. That's the only other Neiman Marcus in New Jersey. There's two Neiman Marcus stores in New York, the Westchester and Roosevelt Field. There used to be three, but because of the pandemic, we lost the Neiman Marcus at the shops at Hudson Yards. It's gonna be a while. I think it's gonna be a while. Um, no, no, I have not been to the Mozzie Galleria. I think so. Washington D.C. I took my headphones out. What is going to replace Lord and Taylor in Natick, Massachusetts? I don't know. It's going to be a while. I only know of one Lord and Taylor replacement right now, and that is the Lord and Taylor in downtown Westfield, New Jersey. The replacement for that, unfortunately, is the store will be meeting the wrecking ball and making way for low-income housing, which is a very
excuse me, a very and unfortunate loss for that iconic space. Yeah, those are no loss though. What was more of a loss with Century? Definitely the Houghton, the Houghton Traction and the Cisco. Yes, I think the Century 21s in New Jersey were all traction, although we were supposed to get our first Hydro at American Dream, but that never happened. So by default, because of the pandemic, we had both traction. So technically I've been to all three in the state, with the third one not opening due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Next year, it is going to be major department store closures in these malls. Well, we just have to wait and see what corporate says about which particular stores will close. You know, it's kind of a mystery. It's almost like opening up a Christmas present, except we just have to wait for those articles to come out and then explain them. Or there's a very credible source who is familiar and close with the company or could work for the liquidator, you know. But, you know, for an example, so Hilco Merchants. Sorry. Okay, let me rephrase that. So the companies that were doing the liquidation for Lord and Taylor and Century 21 was Hilco Merchants, and I believe they also did Steinmart. They did Steinmart, they did Century 21, and they did Lord and Taylor. You would want to go to the Mall at Millennium in Orlando, Florida. Yes, I believe that's a Taubman Mall. Yes, that is one mall I would like to get to. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're back. So what other questions do you have for me, guys? Because I like the chat and I definitely want to see some more questions. What other suggestions you guys have? Why do 3-story Nordstrom stores mostly have 2 traction elevators? It depends on the location. Not every Nordstrom has 2 elevators. It really does depend on the Nordstrom location. For an example, we take a look at Menlo Park and the Freehold Raceway Mall. Both were built around at the same time. Any way you slice or dice it. The Nordstrom at the Menlo Park Mall in Edison, New Jersey has 2 traction elevators that, you know, there are 2 sales floors, with the third floor being employees only. That was back in the day in the early 90s. That was a high demand Nordstrom, and they wanted 2 elevators so that people wouldn't have to wait around for one elevator. And they did traction, which was smart to have a bank of 2. Now, the Freehold Raceway store was a much, much, much smaller Nordstrom store at the time, and that's why they only installed 1 traction elevator instead of 2 traction elevators. They thought it was a lower demand store, and for many years it was a lower demand store, and then ultimately it went from a top performer to a lower performing store, which ultimately led to Nordstrom's making the most difficult decision of the whole company, and to close 16 stores permanently and only reopen them up for fixture liquidation sales once it was safe and once government restrictions were lifted for non-essential retail. I mean, that Nordstrom only opened up for 10 days, literally to just liquidate the fixtures. I mean, there was no merchandise when I went in. And when I went in, like they didn't even have the third floor open. It was literally the first and the second floor. So because of that, by default, I was able to get a video of the elevator, and that's how that ended. And, you know, because I went down there, I'm like, wow, I went all the way down here. I may as well film everything else. Yep, as of Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, the Nordstrom at Freehold Raceway Mall is permanently closed. Yeah, that was right around the time that Nordstrom did the switch from Otis to Schindler. It was right around that late 90s period. They were with Otis in the beginning of the 90s, and right when they wanted to renew their contract with Otis, they went with Schindler instead, because Schindler was the cheaper bidder, which is an absolute shame, because I think Otis built some of the nicest elevators inside of Nordstrom. Garden State is one of my favorite. Menlo is cool too. And what's it called? Another one of my favorite Otis is in Nordstrom. I can't even think of any others. Westfield Garden State, definitely. Menlo Park and Freehold were pretty cool. Cherry Hill is cool because that's a gold Schindler. But Because they didn't have any fixtures up there. They had fixtures on the second and first floors only. So the third floor was closed permanently. They even had blockades in front of the escalator, though you could access it via the elevator. Tanger outlets, we don't really have any around here. There's Deer Park and Riverhead. The closest Tanger outlets, the only Tanger outlets in New Jersey that we have is all the way down in Atlantic City. DSW, yeah, DSW is actually closing some stores. They're closing 80. We don't know which ones yet that they're closing. Nordstrom Freehold Race, I'm sorry, not Freehold Raceway. Roosevelt Field, that is Montgomery. No, that was always a Nordstrom. I guess at the time they didn't want to put the cafe on the second floor, but Freehold they did it on the third floor, which was small, and I think it was a much smaller one. Montgomery, that's an interesting one. Probably lowest bidder. Same thing with Roosevelt Field, although those two Montgomerys are different. And also Westchester has a Montgomery. I forgot. I don't know. Must have been the same company who built it. Yep, still open at Roosevelt Field. Well, it's the only one on Long Island, so I don't think it's closing anytime soon. But Nordstrom Menlo Park, I definitely want to get back to. Once something major closes, or if that store physically does close, then there's only going to be 3 left in the state. But their number of stores has dwindled from 5 to 4, given that the Freehold Raceway store, and that was a huge loss for the Freehold Raceway Mall. I mean, you could lose Sears and you're fine, but man, losing a Nordstrom, that is a big loss for that mall. And that mall did not deserve to lose a Nordstrom personally. They had 5. They had 5. First being Westfield Garden State, then Menlo Park, then the mall at Short Hill. First Garden State, Menlo Park, Freehold Raceway, Short Hills, and then finally Cherry Hill in the late 2000s. But the only reason why they have 4 is because they need to be far enough away so that they don't cannibalize other Nordstrom. Nope, because we have the Bloomingdale's at the shops at Riverside. That's why we don't have a Bloomingdale's at the Westfield Garden State Plaza. By default, when that Strawbridge's and Clothier was built, their contract, I guess, was with Schindler, Lord & Taylor, because they were part of May Company. Yeah, May Company had a contract with Schindler, and Boscov's has a contract with Schindler. Sears had a contract with Otis, but then switched to Schindler. So that mall was literally Schindler City, which I never wasted my time going to that mall. But Cherry Hill's an interesting mall, and I would like to visit it at some point. This is a really good live stream, by the way, guys. Are you guys enjoying this? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Interesting. That's probably why they're keeping the third floor open. Yeah, they sold. Actually, at this point, this store is pretty much closed. But this is yeah, they were acquired by Macy's. Yeah, me too. ThyssenKrupp City. I'd have to say the shops Riverside, because that is a bunch of ThyssenKrupps. But Bergen Town Center does too. So this is actually GB. What is it? GB Liquidations. So they did the 16 Nordstroms that actually closed. This is a picture of all of the Nordstrom. I'm sorry, not all the Nordstrom. This is a picture of all of the fixtures that were for sale. This was done by Business 123477. So this is the front of the store. We'll go through all the photos. These were the couches. You could see too, like they put a lot of detail into the store. Man, they really went all out. Like the frames and the tables were for sale. Mannequins were for sale. Jewelry fixtures were for sale. Like they were selling everything. Like I just remember walking in. It was very. I mean, look, it was very depressing to go inside. I mean, I will tell you, it was absolutely depressing to walk through. And you know, it's sad and unfortunate. Um, Obviously, the clothes were here because they were doing fulfillment orders. Yeah, no, this store they were only doing curbside pickup at this store, unfortunately, which is honestly, you know, very sad. And this store was never able to open up. Not to say it didn't open up to the public. It did open up to the public for 10 days for fixture liquidation, so I can't say that it didn't. But you know what? It did give me a chance to say goodbye, and I'm so glad that I got to say goodbye to this store. I mean, you know, it's honestly a real shame that this store had to close. You know, this has been at the Freehold Raceway Mall for, you know, over 28 years, and you know it's a shame to see that. And then that's the cafe, by the way, at Nordstrom on the third floor. You know, I mean, look at how cool that cafe is. You know, they were selling a cafe sign for $75. I almost would have picked it up if I had a car, but you know, it's a shame. This is the cafe. Like they had coffee. These are all the kit. I mean, damn, wow, yeah, they no, I mean, they sold everything in this store. Kitchen fixtures. I mean, you know, like anything you could imagine from a store, and it all had to sell. The kitchen stuff, you know, this thing. Yeah, this is all the kitchen, by the way, that you guys are seeing right now. These are all the fixtures that were inside the Nordstrom's or Freehold. Obviously, these tables were not socially distanced because these were tables that were set before the pandemic. You know, this was the restaurant, and this is a pretty freaking cool restaurant. What a shame that they had to what a shame they had to close the store. These were the chairs that were outside the store, a fridge, another coffee maker, more fridges. Yeah, this is pretty much just all the kitchen that you're going through. Wow, they even sold the freaking dumpster. They sold the garbage chute dumpster. Wow. Looks like I don't know what that is. Oh, these were the massage loungers that they sold. They were like, I think they were like $300 when I went. A bunch of pictures, more of the store, another couch. Looks like a service desk, sunglasses, hats. Yeah, I mean, there were so many fixtures in here. Pool table that they were trying to sell, clothing that they set up for curbside pickup, more couches. You could see the escalator there in the photo. More fixtures that they were trying to sell, mannequins, clothing. Again, a lot of these clothes were done through the curbside pickup right at the height of the pandemic, or when they were starting to ease restrictions at least. More fixtures, more of the store. Nice little lounge area. Yeah, they even sold all these chairs. These were for sale. The lamp was for sale. The tables were for sale. The frame was for sale. Just not the carpet. That was definitely not for sale. More of the store. Definitely the younger, more type of store. And then you got the cafe like right there at Nordstrom. More store fixtures. Wow, really weird fixtures. Oh, then this is the stock room, I believe. Back offices. Wow, they were selling offices with inside the store. Looks like some conference rooms, sewing machines. Just trying to go through the photos so you guys can see all of them. More massage chairs, fitting rooms. I mean, this store had everything. Like, if there was any time you wanted to go to a fixture liquidation sale at a department store, this was the time you had to go. I mean, it was 10 days throughout the summer, and I definitely wanted to take a chance. I mean, think about it. This was only one of 5 in the state. And I definitely wanted to take advantage of that opportunity to not only, you know, take a final ride on the elevator and escalators, but to take a look and see what kind of cool fixtures they had. I mean, look, tables, more cosmetic fixtures, desk fixtures that they were trying to sell, more mannequins, clothing that they did for curbside pickup. This is when they blocked off the escalators. Fortunately, I was able to go to the second floor, just not the third floor. But yeah, all these fixtures were sold. Yep, they even sold the vacuum cleaner. Looks like wrapping paper, more chairs, another desk, another fixture. You got some more checkout desks, table. Nice little man. what a nice little picture. Let's actually let me hold on. Let me actually zoom into that. Hey, buddy, how are you? It's a funny little picture. I mean, so many pictures that they have of this store. Little mannequins. Oh, that is so adorable. Yeah, bunch of mannequins they were selling here. Yeah. Oh man, Nordstrom. I'm starting to love these mannequins. They're really adorable. They went all out on this store. What a shame. What a shame it had to close because of the pandemic. Another mannequin. Oh, this looks like a wow. That's a nice office. Phew. Must have been tough for these people to lose their job. And that's the last picture. No, I mean I didn't have problems filming the elevator. It was the store tour, and they complained to me about that. Yep, a 200 Vanity Otis, and I'm so glad I filmed it. Nothing held back. Yep, all fixtures had to go. When did Sears close? They had to close, I believe, by April 1st. They somehow, Eddie Lampert got away with being an essential retailer, but nope, they shut that down quick. Kind of like GameStop. GameStop was trying to classify themselves as an essential retailer, but you know what? They got shut down by the government too. So, but GameStop's actually closing a whole bunch of stores. I saw a list. Although I'm not, mourning over the loss. They've been always going downhill. No, you wouldn't want that to be a renovated Federated department store. You wouldn't want that. That's like looking at Lord and Taylor. What malls were supposed to get Century 21? There were 3 that were on deck. Staten Island Mall was supposed to get a full line Century 21. Roosevelt Field was supposed to get a full line Century 21, and American Dream. They were going to add on to they were going to expand their store fleet. No, they're not closed. They're closing one in South Huntington, which probably was an underperformer, and probably close to another one. Cherry Hill, there's another one in a strip mall. Woodbridge Center, Menlo Park, and they already have another one in Woodbridge Township. So they're closing stores that are close to others. There's one closing in my area in Hackensack because there's one in Lodi. You know what I'm saying? It's just, they don't want to monopolize it. They want to keep the better performing GameStops open. What do you think is the worst elevator loss of this year? Now, I'll give you 2 different versions of this. Before the pandemic and after the pandemic. So before the pandemic hit and everything was shut down, the biggest elevator loss of this year was the Macy's store at the Broadway Commons Mall in Hicksville, New York. That was the biggest elevator loss this year. After the pandemic, the biggest elevator loss, it's a tie between Nordstrom Freehold and Lord & Taylor in downtown Westfield, New Jersey. So, all right, I think we're going to go ahead and end this live stream. It's been really great talking to you guys tonight, and I do appreciate it. However, I do have some things to do tomorrow, and I actually still have to eat dinner, believe it or not. So I do want to actually do that before the night does end and we're getting the snowstorm. Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely a loss if you're losing in Dover. So, but I want to thank you guys for joining this Q&A live stream number 92. If there are any more closings this week, you'll be seeing them right here on my YouTube channel. There will be an elevator video going up this weekend. And then, like I said, we are on that reduced content schedule. Again, that is due to the rise of number of coronavirus cases and not the fact being that malls, right now there's not really any major stores closing. So that's why we're doing this. So I want to thank you guys for joining Q&A live stream number 92. I look forward to doing 93 either this week or at some point next week. So anyways, guys, thank you again for joining Q&A live stream number 92. Everybody have a great night. And make sure before I go, I know we're getting this big snowstorm. Make sure to stay safe and stay off the roads. Please stay off the roads. It's going to be very bad out there. And I might put up some kind of snow video. But anyways, thank you guys for joining this Q&A live stream number 92. And we'll see you guys soon.